Which Superman would you invite over for a barbecue?
I think I'm having second thoughts about inviting any Superman to a barbecue, but really,
Why?
I think Tom Welling from Smallville. I think he's gonna come over because I feel like I could just have I could have a beer with him. I could hang out with him. I feel like he'd be a good time. He would really elevate the barbecue kind of social sphere going on.
He's also in high school.
Wait,
No, not when he's Superman. He's only Clark Kent when he's in high school. But he becomes
Sure,
Superman
I
later
forget
on.
that he becomes Superman later on in Smallville.
Yeah, because we're not inviting Clark Kent.
I think after watching a lot of Superman recently, I think it would be David Cornsweet. I think he would be just enough of a good, I think he's very roastable, and I think he would take it well. Because, he's like a little more Boy Scout. I think Christopher Reeve is low-key a little too sexy for my barbecue.
Oh.
I think he's a little too sexy. I think he draws too much of the attention. Yeah. We couldn't have fun. He's too,
I would be a little worried that Christopher Reeve would stand in the corner and nod and smile at people.
Yeah,
I'd be a little bit worried about that.
Especially quiet. Henry Cavill. I mean, everyone would be talking to Henry Cavill.
No, I rewatched Man of Steel. Nobody would be talking to Henry Cavill as
why? Because they're scared, intimidated.
Because he's just brooding. He doesn't talk to anybody in that film.
That's true.
Which version of Henry Cavill are you talking about? Are you talking about the one with the CGI'd mustache out, or
that'd be creepy.
Not the CGI'd mustache?
Because I'm thinking about which persona they have on. Look, I'm with you.
Are they
James.
both in Man of Steel?
In Batman vs Superman or Justice League.
In
1
Batman
and 2,
vs Superman.
he was filming Mission Impossible Fallout where he had the mustache, and so they had to CGI it out for.
That's
the
hilarious.
It was ugly.
Imagine being that intern.
And there's sometimes he just looks like his top lip is down super far.
Wow.
That's how he smiled. He smiled like that. I'd go David Cornsweet too because you know how he was dapping up and kind of playing around with Jimmy Olsen. He has this bro nature to him that I feel like
especially as Clark Kent.
Especially as Clark Kent. He seemed like one of the guys that could get down. And seems like a fun time. He'd be like, hey, Clark, you want to heat up my burger? And he does a little bit of laser eyes on it,
Oh, easily. Yeah. So, wait. This also begs another question. Is he Clark Kent at this barbecue, or is he Superman?
That completely changes my answer if it's a Clark Kent.
I think he's in his Clark Kent, but everyone knows he's Superman. That's what I want to go with for mine.
Wow. I think it's Clark Kent then.
Oh my gosh. If it's Clark Kent, then I'm going Christopher Reeve, because I would rather hang out with Christopher Reeve, Clark Kent, than Superman.
Definitely. I think he's too confident as Superman. We got to bring him down a notch.
Gee, Lois. He'd be doing that.
I don't want that guy at my barbecue.
He'd be doing jokes. Would he be dropping things, kind of
I think he'd be dropping things.
Clark.
Oh, God.
James would take the dogs off the grill, and Christopher Reeve just bombs on the ground, just fills it everywhere.
Clark. Just go, Clark. Get out of here.
Gee, James.
James,
I'd feel so bad for. I'd be pitying him. I'd be like, fuck, this guy he doesn't have it all together. I got
on you.
You just know he drops the dogs, and then he looks up at you, smiles, and you're like, that's Superman. I can't get mad.
He's like,
he just broke the fourth wall, bro. He is Superman.
He's like,
and I'm like, shit. But then you have the moment where you realize Superman is at your barbecue, and that kind of takes it up a notch.
Because he dropped the dogs, but he saved the burgers. It's he did something better. I don't know.
He did the thing where he takes the bullet out of his jacket, but it's a hot dog.
God.
It didn't hit the ground.
This is kind of a deep, strictly casual cut, but he noticed that the person using the barbecue was using a wire brush, and he was able to spot all the wire brush pieces.
And so he went in there and he
grabbed.
Hold on there, Jimmy.
Before anyone took a bite, he uses super speed and he goes around and he takes off all the little metal parts.
Or that's why he dropped the dogs, so nobody could eat them.
Yeah,
that's why he looks up at you.
That's my Superman.
Who invited this guy? And you're like, nah, he's with me. He's with me.
Well, if you haven't guessed it already, we're talking about Superman. More specifically, James Gunn's Superman. As most of you already know, it just hit theaters last weekend. In the newest Superman, we meet a seasoned Clark Kent about 3 years into his career. This is David Cornsweet playing Clark Kent / Superman. He is juggling his roles as a Daily Planet reporter and Metropolis's emblem of hope. As he strives to uphold truth and kindness, he faces a growing public distrust spurred on by Lex Luthor, played by Nicholas Holt's manipulations. With allies like Lois Lane, Crypto the Superdog, and rising DC heroes known as the Justice Gang, Superman must navigate identity, legacy, and a high-stakes showdown to prove heroism still matters.
When we're jumping into this, just know, if you've never listened to one of our podcasts before, we will be talking about the entire movie. And so if you haven't seen the movie, please go watch the movie before you listen to this.
Yeah, we will spoil it.
Spoil everything.
Big time.
Okay, I want to start because I wrote this. I'm going to be glazing this film. All right. Is that what the kids say these days? I'm going to glaze this film because I was thinking about the critiques that I have about the movie, and I was like, I don't even know if I want to even get into that because I personally don't even care because of how satisfied I was with this character as Superman and this movie as a whole. And so I really had a good time with this. And there was one thing I really wanted, and that was for Superman to save someone in the heat of battle and be like, "Are you okay, ma'am? Are you okay, sir?" And that was delivered. And I remember in the theater looking around like, "Oh my God, he did it. He's the everyday guy that's just helping people." So I had a good time. Tell me what y'all think.
I personally was so happy at the end of this movie. I felt like I had really high expectations for this, and in most ways it delivered and exceeded my expectations in so many ways. I do agree that my one big thing is I needed Superman to be that emblem of hope and be that character that we loved from our last episode when we talked about Christopher Reeve Superman. I needed that kind of personality to be back, and it is fully back, and also a new way. It's not a copy of Christopher Reeve at all. It's using the best parts about the character of Superman with a new actor in a new way, in a new world. And that was just so fun to watch to me.
Yeah, I think in terms of my overall thoughts, I would say I really loved this film. I had also very high expectations. I was itching to see this film. I was counting down the hours, the minutes till I walked in that theater. I really wanted Superman to be that emblem of hope, like Vincent, you also said, harkening back to Christopher Reeve, but I also wanted something different, and I was worried that it was going to be more on the side of, I thought it was going to be too Marvelized, maybe, Marvelized as in, maybe this movie's going to feel too much like Guardians of the Galaxy, or it's going to feel like a Marvel film in the writing and the quippiness. I didn't want that quip humor that kind of keeps us from feeling very heavy emotions, because I think Superman is the symbol of hope, especially in moments of darkness. He is the light in the darkness. And so I walked away from this thinking that I think it balances a lot of those things really well. And a lot of things really did hit for me. There were a couple things that didn't hit for me. So this movie definitely isn't perfect in my eyes. It isn't everything I want it to be. It's a lot of the things I wanted it to be, though. And I think the only criticism is I just wanted more. And I think that's a good criticism, because I think there will be more, and I'm excited for the direction that it's going, and I'm excited for the foundation that James Gunn is laying for the DCU. But I want to see this movie again, because I just want more Superman.
Yeah.
So that's what I'll say, or my overall thoughts.
The big surprise for me was how they made the theme of it's punk rock to be kind and nice, which I thought was such an original kind of creative take to say, oh, punk rock, which is something that I've never, that genre is not something that I'm into, but hearing that is such a easy concept to grasp. And it's so funny that that's something in our world that we're like, oh, wow, it's taboo, it's weird, it's punk rock to be nice. How crazy is that? But I think, again, much needed for something in our world today.
Can I actually riff off of that real quick?
Yeah.
Just real quick. So, right after this film, just a couple nights ago, I watched No Country for Old Men. And I think that's a really interesting film to actually put against Superman, because No Country for Old Men is very much like a film about like skepticism and like it plays off Westerns, and that Westerns were a genre in which there's very clear distinctions of like good and evil, like justice always wins, right? And so that was sort of the time of early filmmaking, like 50s and 60s films and TV was all about like strong, like good always has to win, like bad guys never win. And then No Country for Old Men is sort of embodying this early to mid 2000s like overall cultural like maybe malaise. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but just like this sort of jadedness toward like right and wrong, like evil can win and often does win, and like bad things happen to the good guys, and it's sort of this embodies this overall skepticism of culture and morality. And I think this film coming back and having Superman, like it is almost I think we're witnessing a little bit of like a tipping on the scale and the back toward in the Westerns almost of like we had, right, for example, we had Man of Steel, which was a dark, gritty Superman who you can tell is, he's like very conflicted and is dealing with all these things, and morality, like doing the right thing is like kind of important to him, but he doesn't really like make statements about it, but he does stand up for people. So it gets a little muddy in that sense. Whereas like now we have David Cornsweet Superman, who like, is like, yes, like I'm always going to do the right thing for whoever. And it's not about like the political moves, but I think we're kind of hope maxing again,
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a big shift in, what is popular with these kind of stories with heroes and villains is, I would say the 2000s have been dominated by like the anti-hero and the let's make it darker and more real, or more like that is a big obsession. Some of the greatest characters have been these, I use like Breaking Bad for an example here of a show that was like really one of the first times that you have this character that starts with like great intentions of things and then just, becomes more and more evil, but you're kind of rooting for him throughout the entire show.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same as The Sopranos or other, like there's so many of these Marvel movies too, or just superhero movies in general that have a character that is, not quite in the right, not quite in the wrong, but like you're just kind of rooting for him. It's kind of like a Deadpool character, I would say.
Yeah,
or
that's
Punisher.
exactly what I was thinking of.
Or Punisher, right?
Like Logan.
Yeah, right. And that's not to discount any of those characters. Those characters exist in their stories and their worlds, and they work and they're great.
And they're good at what they do. Yeah,
totally.
And there's also something we said about like violence too, because I'm thinking about like Logan, like you're saying, like the Wolverine and characters like Punisher, like they are violent characters and they use violence and guns or weapons or their powers to hurt the bad guy or hurt other people to save someone. Versus Superman, I think his ultimate goal is always saving people and never using combat that's not his first thing. It's never of course never kill the bad guy, but suppress them in a way, even like with the creature, to get more specific, it's like that scene in particular.
I'm curious, like this movie works really well, and I think part of it is because of like our modern culture. Like you couldn't really place this movie in a different decade even and have it have the same effect that it does now. Obviously, when people are writing movies, they're taking current events into account and taking whatever's happening around us.
It's very evident in this film too.
Very evident in this film. But yeah, I don't know. It felt really special and it felt fresh. I don't know if all the ideas are necessarily fresh. We've seen Superman be good and we've seen hopeful movies before, but it kind of felt so new. I don't know. It felt awesome.
Yeah, I feel like if it came out like in those years that you're talking about, it might have been like compared to Spider-Man 2, I think. Like if it came out during Spider-Man 2 time, I think there'd be a lot of comparisons to that about like a positive outlook on a hero.
Yeah.
Being a hero, saving people, and being united by the people. Of course, I'm thinking Spider-Man with the people in the train with
the
Spidey.
Train scene. Yeah.
Yeah, we got to see people with Superman and the people of the city united and their reaction to the revelation of his parents, as well as, oh, he got hurt, let's save him, as well to every time he saves somebody, there's focus on the people and their outlook on Superman, which I think helps the audience to have an outlook. It's like if you show Superman doing something good, you may be like, wow, that's cool. But if you see somebody and they're crying and like, wow, how amazing it is, you kind of be like, oh, maybe I should be more reflective on him saving someone. And it makes you think.
This movie didn't ignore people, like real people as well. Yeah, like that's what kind of makes it feel not grounded. It's such like a silly word, but like it makes it feel
human.
Yeah,
like
human,
connected.
Believable, real, I guess. Yeah. There's a couple ways we can go with this right now. Do you guys want to talk a little bit about how you felt about David Corenswet as Superman? Is there any kind of standout things you guys saw? Were you guys skeptical going into this movie?
I think what I've heard a lot is, on the criticism side of things, is kind of how he is kind of with his voice and, I don't know, his frustration and his anger. And I just think that cements him more as a person to me, as a human being, versus being.
Wait, what's the criticism with his anger?
Or like, I think his reaction, like the Lois scene when Lois is interrogating, questioning him.
What a great scene.
I thought that was a great scene. And I heard some criticism of how he's reacting. And I think I bring that up because I want to say how much I love his attitude and his personality and who he is, because it's such a human way to react to being annoyed at online trolls, as well as being frustrated with questions that, go against what he wants to do and him getting angry.
I don't like that one. Yeah, that one especially gets me so mad.
Yeah, it makes so much sense to respond like that. And I think it's very real too to bring up topics like that. But David Corenswet, I think, was great because I noted this down. When it comes to, again, to compare, it's like, look, I love Henry Cavill, so I'm not trying to put them against each other. But I'm just going to compare to Henry Cavill as like...
As an actor or as Superman?
Oh, as Superman. Sorry, Superman. Not as an actor. As Superman, the character. Like the Man of Steel movies, Batman vs. Superman, I like his Superman, but it's very much spectacle. And he's like a god. And you kind of look up to him and he seems separate from you. But this David Corenswet made it seem like he's touchable and more connected and like almost obtainable in the sense of like, oh, I could be that person. I could be that. I have those frustrations. I have the same feelings. And I could be just as good as the best good person there is, apparently, right? Like, I don't know. I think that was better done.
Yeah, this is such a good scene to me. It really sets up who Clark is and Lois. It shows their personalities. It's kind of a longer scene. They really let it have its time because it's important. It's not action filled, but you need this baseline for these two characters that happens in the beginning of the film, especially in a movie where it's not an origin story. You're not meeting these people for the first time. They've already existed and they are who they are. This scene is fantastic to me. Clark being, just to kind of, for a little bit more context or a reminder, if you've been a while since you've watched it, Clark and Lois are having a date night or something. And it's kind of in the context clues that Clark interviews Superman often for his pieces at the Daily Planet. And he offers a chance for Lois to interview him as Superman after Superman has basically gotten in the middle of a conflict between two countries where he didn't really think about the ramifications of entering this conflict by himself. And if Clark was to interview Superman about this, it would be a pretty positive interview, probably, It would be Superman saying, oh, I just had to do what was right, that sort of thing. I just had to, I couldn't let people get hurt or whatever that is. And Lois wants to ask much harder, in-depth questions about this. Like, why did you do this? Did you think about this? Things that Superman or Clark Kent aren't really thinking about. And first of all, God, I'm so glad that they gave Lois some juice in this movie. Okay,
Lois has so much juice.
A great character, and I feel like
for
in the last
Superman specifically.
I mean, she has a lot for Superman, but a lot for her own.
But I mean, like in that dialogue, she is grilling Superman, and I think she is asking the hard questions that like a modern audience would ask Superman doing these things.
Totally. I just think that the last couple of iterations of Lois have been very one note and kind of plain. And even going back to watch the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, I feel like in some cases she's kind of treated like a dit or like
a damsel in distress sort of situation.
And she's a lot more than that to Superman, but also to herself. And I feel like Rachel Brosnahan was so good in this role. Like this is she's phenomenal casting for this, and also just the writing behind her was so great.
She had so much conviction, and dedicated to her work. The one scene I love with her is that when they're evacuating the city, everyone's running out, even in the Daily Planet, and they cut to her. All right, so here's what's going on, and on the marker board, literally mapping out the story and giving it was like Lex's plan, and I was like, that is so good. I know what you're doing. Love that. That's good stuff.
Yeah,
she's not not afraid at all. Because I'm like, part of me is like, oh man, was she like, yeah, no, Superman's got this. Like her confidence in him is like through the roof, so she's not even worried.
I think that's good that she is like, she really trusts Superman and she knows him enough and loves him enough to like grill him on all these things and like show how. I think that's really great for like, that scene is so good because it highlights Lois as a character and it highlights Clark Kent, Superman, Kal-El as a character, as like, this is a Superman who is 3 years into his career and he is still learning a lot. Like I was talking to another friend about this film and he's like, oh, it's so weird to see Clark Kent, like Superman, as so like immature. It seems like he thought he was too immature. Like he totally did, like kind of like didn't know what was going on. And he was like, oh, like I feel like I'm just so used to seeing Superman like being the one who is the leader, the one who who is like kind of conscious and knowing what to do and knows the right thing and like is very mature. I'm like, well, most of the time when we see Superman, at least like in a more, like when I think of Justice League, right? Justice League, the animated series, I'm like, that's Superman. Like in the Justice League, he's like at least 10, 15 years into his career.
Yeah.
Like he had to get to that point of seniority. Right.
Yeah.
He has to get to right now he's in the learning phase where he is making mistakes and learning from them. And so I'm really like cool. I'm like, this is another part of it where I'm just really interested to see how Superman as a character grows throughout this
as a leader too.
Universe.
Since we're still kind of on David Cornsweet as Superman, I wanted to bring up this one point that I saw a clip from a podcast called Crazy Stupid Podcast, and I wanted to credit them because this is not an idea for me at all. So I wanted to make sure they got all the credit for this. They made a great point saying that Superman is a firefighter, not a cop. And I thought that was a really good revelation for me to think of, him as a character, that he doesn't enforce the law and that his only sole purpose is to save people and to, what's the fastest way I can save any person, even going out of the way to save a squirrel, which I thought was like almost ridiculous and corny, but definitely the best thing you could see on screen. Superman saving a squirrel is like, yes, every living creature, person, human, alien, whatever it is, a baby, Superman's there to save them. And I think that's
the dog too. He blows away the dog.
The dog.
He's like, get out of here. Get out of here.
Oh, from under the foot. Cool. Yeah. That was good.
That's
great.
Yeah, I think that's good. That's a good point. It's kind of cool.
I also think it's a good point. I think it is like, the more I think about it, the more I'm thinking that it is like a good start, but Superman is more than a firefighter, because I don't think firefighters are ever asked to be like political symbols or like representative of issues. And I think Superman definitely fits in that point. Like on our during our Christopher Reeve Superman podcast, where I talked about like Superman has sort of like he bears responsibility for actions of like taking sides and conflicts and things like that.
Which is why I think it was an interesting move to kind of pit the people against Superman in this movie, because if the average person believes in Superman as a symbol or for themselves, they would feel so betrayed if he had ulterior motives. I kind of want to talk a little bit about the change to Superman's origin story here.
Yeah.
So it is revealed that Superman's parents, Jor-El and his mom, whose name is escaping me, another Kryptonian name, they've left these messages for Clark or Kal-El, which is a very common thing, where he'll go to the Fortress of Solitude, watch something.
Lara.
Lara. Superman will go to the Fortress of Solitude, pop on a tape from Pops, learn something new, and defeat another bad guy. Like, that's a very like common storyline. Get some wisdom imparted on him. But there's one tape that kind of cuts and scratches off, and Lex Luthor's engineer, bad guy girl thing, like reveals the end of this message and puts it out there for everybody. And the end of the message basically says that that Earth's humans are like inferior beings, and Superman should be like in charge of them, like leading them, not
spreading his seed.
Yeah, doing that, taking multiple wives. A harem, yes.
Harem.
And basically like ruling over Earth, like basically very much like invincible, like very Viltrumite.
Yes, which that's. If we want to get into like originality of it, it doesn't feel very like an original thing to do, and I think that's partially because of Invincible, but also in Smallville, I believe Jor-El was also not like a good person, or kind of had some bad. So I don't know if it just doesn't feel like a new twist per se. How do you guys feel about it? I don't know.
I thought it felt new to me. It felt inspired by Invincible for sure. I know people had gripes with the sort of like harem piece of it, to almost where that felt kind of laughable.
They say it a lot of times in this movie.
He's like, oh, he's gonna take wives, like he's taking our wives, sort of thing, And I was like, oh, okay, like you don't take it as seriously because there's a element of comedy to it. But I really liked that it was there was an ulterior motive to it. I like that the message was not tampered with, that was the original message. Because I think it makes his moral dilemma even stronger. I had another friend say, oh, it didn't feel like he had any like conflict in this film. I was like, okay, maybe they could have let that like breathe a little more, like a little bit more of a go back and forth. But I do think it was a pretty like central conflict to Clark Kent of, I don't know, like, these are my parents, and I go to their message for comfort. Every time he goes in this Fortress of Solitude, he's saying like, put on the message to his robots, because that's what gives him comfort. And it's the end of the film, right, where he sort of acknowledges where he comes from and values who his real parents are.
Beautiful.
And I almost wish we would have gotten a little bit more back and forth. Like, I would have loved a conversation where like we almost like to. I really don't like Man of Steel, but I liked the conversation, and I think we could have pulled inspiration from this of Henry Cavill, Kal-El is in the car with his dad, and he's like, basically, you're not my dad. He's like trying to give him advice, and he's like, listen, like, you're not my dad. You just found me. And I think that would have added a little bit more of like dimension to it. Like to him come back around.
You're imagining that
like,
being, or that conversation being maybe before you would find out that Superman's Kryptonian parents are evil, and he feels completely parentless, and
or at least like I would have liked something in the conversation, on the phone, where he's kind of like more like just not liking his parents, or he feels a little angsty against them, to give him some sort of edge against,
I think there was a little detail that I was just thinking about right now that I think was trying to say that when he was he on the phone with his mom or someone when his dad said, "Don't be a stranger." So I want to say that maybe the backstory of this all is that the 3 years that he's been Superman, 3 years ago, he discovered the Fortress of Solitude and that message, and that he has since then not spoken to his parents and been so consumed by his Kryptonian side that for that ending, the hit of it is like, oh wow, he's
coming back.
He's going back to his roots. He's thinking, I need to touch base with my parents. Actually, like going back to the Kent house was like it's been a couple years just because he was so consumed by his Superman side, which is like,
this is one of my
cool.
This is one of my small gripes about the movie too. I have like a couple things that I would like to talk about.
Let's talk about them.
One of my criticisms of this film is I wish that it let some more scenes breathe.
Yeah.
And we just talked about a scene that does breathe, and that's that Lois and Clark interview in the beginning, and that was like the perfect amount of time spent to build those characters, and it felt like an extended scene that you were living in for a little while. Whereas the Kent family farm scene, we have a conversation on the porch with Clark and Jonathan, and I wanted like another minute or something before Martha pops out.
Just a little more.
And like, oh, you gotta go, like you gotta come see the TV, like check this out. Like that conversation is the heart of the movie to me. Like their relationship is so important to this story, and like being able to sit in that emotion is also what makes the ending, or what builds Superman to do what he needs to do. And I feel like they just cut it short. Like we were almost there and they chopped it off right as we were hitting the climax. And maybe that's purposeful. Maybe I'll come to appreciate that. But I feel that in multiple points of the movie that like these heroic moments kind of get chopped a little bit to move the plot forward a bit.
Yeah, and was it you, James, that said? I mean, the runtime, it's not even that long.
2 hours and 9 minutes.
So there could have been. I mean, come on, give me 2 minutes here, because it's a compliment. Because it's so good, right? That scene is so good. It's shot so nicely with them two on the bench. Like it doesn't even have to be that scene. Like you said, it could have been in the house with Martha. Like give her another good speech scene.
Martha could have had some more. She was definitely played as a dummy, like in this movie. Yeah. They kind of write her.
It's funny because believe what you will, social media is what it is. But like apparently in some of the pre-screenings, there were some complaints that the Kent family were seen as like dumb hicks, and so it's like I wonder if they cut some stuff
chopped
that showed who they were. But like as for the movie and what was delivered, they just seem like farmers that
love their son.
Lovely people. Yeah, lovely people. I really like them. I would love more. But
speaking of how that was shot, how did you guys feel about like the look of this movie and the cinematography and stuff? Because that was a big concern, I would say, from the trailers coming into this.
I thought it worked great. I remember thinking, like, I rewatched some of the trailers. I'm like, oh, I think they were even brighter then. It almost seems like they toned it down a little bit for the theatrical release. And I thought it kind of worked. Like, I was really skeptical about it. It was kind of my main point of skepticism about the film going into it, where I was like, but I don't know about this daylighting thing. Like, it was a cinematographer who did The Flash, if I'm not wrong. And that movie didn't look great. So I was just, I don't know. But it worked. I thought it worked really well. I thought, like, it was very light, and I liked that was sort of an embodiment of who the character of Superman is. And I think it fit. It just fit really nicely with the overall tone, the theme, the characters of the film.
I'll say I love Big Head Mode. It really hit for me. And I know that there's so many memes. Like I was sitting kind of in agony thinking about how many people are just like, look at they're showing his head and we've gotten the way. It's like The Rock and Black Adam, or like other
Adam Warlock.
Yeah. So it's like, it's kind of that look I feel like has been ruined for people that laugh at it.
What is Big Head Mode?
But
when
the shot when it's just a wide angle of their face. Yeah. But for this, I'm like,
like when he's flying.
Yeah, when he's flying, I think it works so well and it looks so cool because you see his hair flying in the wind and it connects for me. I was like, this is hitting for me, and I was like, oh, this is like I didn't think it was funny, but I was like, I got this sense that I was like, oh, I'm hearing a little chuckle or something, which is fine. I'm just saying, like,
I think I chuckled a little. Yeah, chuckled a little bit. It's a little serious.
Yeah, it's like, but I love how they shot like the logos. They did a focus on his Superman logo all the time, of course, with the title and in the fight scenes and just different, I don't know, different fun, unique things that they're playing around with.
I do think some of some of those shots were like very CGI.
Yeah,
and I will say I didn't care for those as much. But I think. Maybe a criticism is I felt we got too many close-up shots of David Cornsweet as Superman, and I wished, especially when it came to his flying, I really like wide shots of him flying or a fixed shot with him jetting off because it shows how fast he really is.
Yeah.
Like I really like that in Man of Steel. There's some moments where he he leaves and he goes poof, and then it like you see like the supersonic like boom, goes,
like they had one apart. There was one in the beginning before the title where the girl goes the alien is going and you see he leaves the Fortress of Solitude and it is a wide of him like from the sky and you see him going off and it's like that is so crazy, like how he's just like, you know, I don't know how fast but just
I know light. But it's just like crazy to see him go like
more wide would be cool, man. I agree.
I do feel like overall I really loved how it looked. I did not like the trailer. I was like, oh no, like this is how the movie's gonna look. Like, I don't know. Like you have that shot of him breaking out of the prison, you know, and punching the glass, and it's like so fish-eyed and like I was like, oh, I don't know. This is how the whole movie's gonna look. But it was not an issue in the movie at all. It actually the close wide angle camera when he's flying even kind of helps you be right there in the moment, in the scene. You're not watching from afar, you're in it. And I thought that was it worked. That effect worked on me. Yeah, liked it a lot. And the big head flying stuff is like, I don't know. It felt fun. It felt new. It didn't feel overly serious or anything. It was like, I don't know. I felt the speed in those shots, or it felt fresh to me. Yeah.
Okay.
My favorite shot in the whole film was when, after, of course, he goes like, I don't remember if he even says, hey, buddy, up here. But when he flies up and you look up at the sun and it just sits kind of up. And I was like, this is cool because like as a bystander, you're probably often seeing this superhuman person flying up and you don't even see, you're like in the sun and your eyes are actually caught in the sun. And I'm like, that is cool. It really felt like I'm in Metropolis watching this battle go around. And I was like, that's great stuff.
Totally.
Yeah.
You talk about Lex a little bit?
Oh yes.
Let's talk Lex.
Oh yes. You guys can go. What do you think?
Electric performance. Like, I mean, I do want to go back to what Vin was saying a second ago. Is like, I wish his monologue did have a little more time. I just wanted a little like let us like sit. Wait,
Superman's like Clark Kent's monologue?
Or no. His monologue when he's talking about like Isaac Newton, like all these or Galileo or all these people
his ego,
you know, his ego, and he's like, oh, it like makes the back of my throat burn a little bit, like, and of course, like I just really hate Superman. I just want I want to see how much this dude fucking hates Superman. Like,
I think he shows it in some ways in this movie.
There was that look at the end.
He does in more subtle ways.
Oh God, was just insane.
Subtle. He clones him. He cloned Superman to kill him.
Yeah, but we don't. I like maybe I would have loved to see like that process, like maybe a flashback of him. Like after the reveal, we see a flashback of him taking the hair and putting him in that, and he's like talking to me like, and he's talking about how this is gonna be the one that kills Superman or something like that.
This was my least favorite part of the movie, is the Ultraman reveal being him. I did not like that, and I think the more I think about it, I still don't like it.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I think it did something for me. I was like, oh, this is cool.
It felt like they just kind of grassed over it. I don't know.
I'm glad they grassed over it. I feel like if they made it more of a focus, it would have been weird. Like that's like in comics and animated series and stuff like that. Not that I know, I'm just saying like I feel like the vibe of that is there are always clone like a zombie version of Superman. I know the Bizarro and stuff, but that it's like live action. How do you translate that? I think this is the best way. Just kind of saying, oh, it's David doing this. And I mean, I totally get what you mean. I'm
this
with
is
you.
like
It is
for better or for worse thing about this movie is the very comic book nature of it.
For better and for worse, you mean.
A lot. Yeah. What did I say? For better or for worse?
Or for worse. Yeah.
It's there's a lot going on in this movie. A lot of things happening.
Yeah.
We have like our A plot and our B plot, I would say. B plot being, let's have the Daily Planet staff figure out what Lex Luthor's up to. And then A plot being the 3 separate things that Superman has to do. Like 1, deal with his parent stuff. 2, have the whole prison escape thing and find crypto. And 3, like stop everything that's happening to the world, I guess, which felt connected, very connected, but also so different. Like they're like each act is very different, and it just kind of like is together through this plot, which is good. It makes it feel like fresh and exciting the whole time, but it is very comic booky. It felt like 3 issues of a comic book.
I was literally about to say that. It literally feels like 3 different issues of a book, just of like a set. That's so nuts. I was just,
which honestly is my preferred. Like when I read comic books, I don't really care for like the anthology thing or like you have one character that's doing a completely different thing in each issue. I much prefer an overarching like longer storyline where it's moving more like it's episodic. You're kind of watching the next thing. It's the same thing. What reason why I don't really vibe with Mandalorian is that like I feel like it's missing that overarching story. This has that overarching story, but it feels like each thing is very different. I don't know.
I hear you. I like the. Oh, you go. What you got?
I was just gonna say, like, I think there is a part of, I mean, regarding the Martha and Jonathan thing, I'm gonna disregard that for a second. But I think the the second part of the film where it has the why the black, when it comes to the black hole management and the Lex stuff and breaking out of jail and the Baravian conflict, the invasion,
the hammer.
Conflict. It feels very much like, oh shit, what is he gonna do because he has to do this in order to get to that. Like it feels like there's a sort of management of priorities that leads to a sense of tension in the audience where we're like, oh shit, but this is happening and this is happening. How the hell is he gonna tie all this up so that he can get over and get to that? Because it's foreshadowed that he is really interested in this conflict, and we know historically through his actions that he really prioritizes this thing, but right now he has to deal with the fucking black hole that's tearing a rift through the middle of Metropolis.
Right.
I want to talk about it's just another day in Metropolis, and the scene that I love is when Clark and Lois are talking, and in the background there's this alien fighting, and the Justice Gang are fighting that purple alien.
Oh, and that's a good scene.
And I love stuff like that because it makes it feel like the world, this stuff is common. And I think about the Batman Arkham games where as your Batman in Gotham, Two-Face and Penguin are robbing a bank, and Harley Quinn's blowing up a factory, and Joker's doing this. And like there's all this stuff going on, and that's just a comic book world. And so to see Metropolis is like, yes, there's Superman and Justice League and lanterns and aliens and all this stuff happening on a daily basis. Is like that's what I want to see. It's like these people. This isn't a normal world.
It's breathing.
This isn't like
it's living and breathing.
Yeah.
It's it's outside of just this moment that is going on right now. Vincent.
I want to talk about this part. 2 things on that part you're talking about with the alien in the background and Superman. Do you guys remember the first like image of Superman was him on that chair putting on his boots with that alien behind him, and I was like. Oh no. I was like, what is this like lighting like thing? Like what is like I just thought it looked weird and bad.
You
like
thought
a neon.
It was like a lighting thing? Like you didn't think it was a creature?
No, like I knew it was some sort of creature, but that shot being like the first thing you see of the movie, I felt like it was off from what I was
Did you think it was setting a darker tone?
Yes, yeah. I just felt like it was a weird tonal like first thing to show people of your new Superman.
Yeah.
Thank God it was fine. Not an issue at all. But you know, But also in that scene, this is after he finds out about his parents. And it's funny to have like it's the Justice Gang kind of fighting off that little alien in the background. But he's talking about Lois because Lex has also stolen crypto, right? Yeah. And we're still learning about Superman at this point. This probably takes place a little less than halfway through the movie. You're still getting a sense of who Clark Kent is. And Clark looks at Lois and he says, this is talking about crypto, saying, yeah, he's not even a very good one, but he's out there alone and probably scared. And I felt that shit, dude. Like it was like
so fucking good.
Oh my God, I felt that. I felt it.
That shit so hard.
He's like kind of over it. It's this dog he's like in custody of or like, you know, just taken care of or whatever. But like it didn't really matter. Yeah. It didn't matter. Yeah. The dog was gone and he's probably scared.
And this was after this whole conversation about like how, you know, they're talking about what Lois meant when she said that, you know, she has no idea how this relationship was going to work.
Yeah.
And we get the line where Lois is like, I'm punk rock. Like I am skeptical of everything and I don't trust people. And, you know, you think everyone is beautiful and you trust everyone. And that's when he says the iconic, he said it earlier, but he says like, well, what if that is punk rock?
Yeah.
And so you're just like hit with that emotion. And then it's the crypto thing. And then right before he leaves, he says, I love you. And then off he goes to turn himself in because of all the messages out about his parents. And so he goes to turn himself into the military.
You're like, why would you do this? Why would you do this? And he's like, you know, this is probably what I got to do. This is the right thing.
Well, he goes there to find crypto. He's like, oh, well, they probably know where crypto is.
But in the moment, you're like, why don't you just fly there and like beat them all up and like, you know, save crypto?
That's not who Superman is.
Not who Superman is. I know.
Good stuff.
That's not who Superman
I did want to bring this up because if I didn't mention in this podcast, I'd what's the phrase? I'd regret it. I'll just say that.
I'd be remiss.
The power of journalism. Man, I love that they showed the Daily Planet, even though it was wacky that they were like on a ship. I love that they were writing up an article and trying to get the truth about what Lex was up to. And I feel like all these side characters had something to do. Well, not all of them, but Jimmy Olsen and that's all I cared about. Jimmy Olsen and Perry White.
Jimmy Olsen was awesome. Can we take a moment for Jimmy Olsen?
Like,
I love the interpretation.
Yeah.
Before we get into Jimmy.
Well, I just want to say, good journalism is what took down Lex Luthor ultimately to expose him to the crowd, to everybody. And I thought that was so cool because they're showing him upload the article with all those upload buttons. And I was like, hooting in the crowd because I was like,
I did like that.
I do that on a daily, dude. That's so crazy.
Copy check, editor check, publish. Check. Yeah,
that is awesome.
I really liked Jimmy Olsen, but like Jimmy. Okay, I'm gonna do Jimmy Olsen, and then I'm gonna do Eve Tessmacher.
Oh yeah,
because they're very connected. So Jimmy Olsen, I love this interpretation of Jimmy Olsen that. Also, love this actor. He's been in a couple things I've seen him before. He was in
Licorice Pizza. He was hilarious.
He was in Licorice Pizza.
Gemstones?
He was also Righteous Gemstones, and he was also in one of the Supermassive Games titles.
Oh
but
yeah,
I forgot which one. I think he was in the werewolf one. I forget the name of it escapes me. But
The Quarry.
The Quarry.
Was in that?
Yeah, I think he was in The Quarry. I think. But he's great. I love him in everything he does. And I love that he's like this like guy who's kind of a piece of shit, but like is a player. And I think it's just so funny. Like it's so not believable at first that he is this person. But then like as it goes along, you're like, okay, I guess he gets bitches.
Yeah.
But then like the whole thing with Eve Tessmacher, mutant toes.
Hilarious.
And she goes, so we can spend all weekend together? And he's like, the whole weekend?
He's like,
it was so funny.
Doesn't say anything to that, yeah.
But to move on to Eve Tessmacher in her relationship with that and with her relationship to Lex Luthor, I love that they gave all of her like selfie taking and this sort of like very minor character gave her like such a cool moment of importance that she is sort of the linchpin to taking down Luthor from the journalistic standpoint is she is the one providing all the evidence. Every selfie she took was with like calculated intention, and I think makes her so much more than just like the bimbo.
Yeah. Lex Luthor's little chair piece thing, you know,
exactly.
like much more than that, which we saw definitely for worse in the old Superman movies.
Yes,
I did love that they showed like Lex was evil. Like there's bad guys and there's ways to show it, but there was just 2 scenes that really delivered on how evil Lex Luthor is, killing that one random guy. I mean, not
oh my god,
not the random guy,
not
the
waffle
stand guy.
Not the random guy. Was he that guy in the beginning that saved Superman?
Yes, he was the guy who gave Superman
even more
free falafel.
So that scene when he kills him, and then when he's throwing shit at Eve and knocking stuff on the desk for this people, like
terrible.
It was really like, because you can have a villain where you're almost laughing at, but these scenes were like, this is evil.
They
and I was like,
didn't make him like they didn't make him like misunderstood. They didn't
it was very clear
ambiguity to
exactly.
him. He's like, oh no, he's just a bad dude.
Just a bad dude, which I think they delivered 100% on who this person is, because there's all kinds of ways to do bad guys, right? And
when
Lex is.
When Superman goes into his like slams into his office and he's like interrogating him, throws the table, he knows the whole thing's being recorded, and he's like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Oh fuck! And then he like takes he's like, oh, ugly ass dog.
That was crazy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so good.
We're getting back to back like the smartest man alive movies here. Yeah. We have Lex Luthor, who's like supposed to be the smartest man in like DC, and like we're coming into Fantastic Four with Reed Richards, who is supposed to be like the smartest man. Which is interesting, but on both sides of the evil and good kind of sides. Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor had a lot of the pieces that I really liked about Gene Hackman, where he would just like talk about something and you're like, wait a second, where's this going? And then he would like, nail the point at the end, or like try to bring it down to something else.
His genius makes him ramble, right?
Yeah. Also, he surrounds himself with people who he believes are inferior to him to make him feel elevated in some way, and like having that whole command center thing of people that he commanded around was great for his character.
He could have just been doing all that himself, but the fact that 100%. He like split it up into this whole command room so that he could tell people what to do and give them commands was I thought so good.
It was so good.
Okay. I also I think it's sorry, real quick.
Yeah.
Like it's really interesting to see like how many people were really on his team, like, and how many people were like working for him and really like loved to work for him in a sort of way. I was like, whoa, these like people pretty much are his like little minions, but at the same time, they're like, you can tell they really sign on for this shit.
Mm-hmm. Like Otis.
Otis. Do you guys see Otis?
Yeah.
There was one shout for Otis, and I was like, I
guess. Okay. Can we is it too early to go into like the world of Superman, like expanding world is like everything going on?
I don't think so. I do want to say like as a sort of bridge to that, like I love that James Gunn threw us into this world and didn't bother doing all the exposition of like who all these people are and why we need to care about them. He just like said like, here's all these characters. Here's Mr. Terrific. Here's Guy Gardner. Here's Hot Girl. Like, I'm going to make you care about them by just giving them good writing and giving them a lot of great personality. And that made me all the more excited for everything else that we're going to get in DCU. So
I want to shout out my buddy Dom, because like a day after I was talking about this film, he calls me out of nowhere and he's like, hey, here's all the comic book recommendations you need, because he collects these comics.
That's
and
awesome.
He was like, you need to check out Superman, Batman, Apocalypse, Justice League War. He said, you got to read, of course, All-Star Superman, and Superman versus Batman, Apocalypse. Is that what I said? I already said Superman, Batman, Apocalypse.
I have a hot take on All-Star Superman.
Okay. Yeah. Let's hear it.
I don't think it's a good place to jump in. I actually don't. Okay. If you haven't read a Superman comic, I don't recommend reading All-Star Superman.
Okay.
As someone that's pretty unfamiliar with the Superman comics as a whole, I read all of it knowing that this was like what James inspired this version of James Gunn's Superman and stuff. And it kind of plays like a greatest hits album of each issue is like a different major threat for Superman. And the concept is great. The concept is that Superman's dying and he has 10 things he has to do before he dies. And each thing is one of those 10 things, but not all of those 10 hit. And when you don't have the context behind it, it's kind of rough to follow along with. And so like, I don't know if it's a good place to start. It does showcase Superman in a hopeful and, you know, he's a incredible person and there's a lot of great moments of it, but yeah, I don't know. That's just a personal thought. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
The reaction to Justice League Wars, like, I feel like that's a pretty dark place to start. Like, that's.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't mean to start. I just meant like.
I mean like in terms of like where this universe is at and like what it's going for. I think it lacks a lot of the comedy and quip and zip.
Like, let's spin this a little bit. James Gunn said that he wants the flexibility for these writers and directors to create their own tones when it comes to the different characters moving forward, which is so key. Like we have in Marvel, I would say there's a tone that is hit almost every time of like it's a little more quippy, not quippy per se, but like tone, it's light. Each one is light same, with jokes. And there are some darker moments, which is awesome, with the exception of like Thunderbolts, which we just had, which had a little bit of a darker tone overall and stuff. And I think they're exploring that a little bit more. And I think it's cool that James Gunn, for instance, this next Supergirl movie that's currently being filmed, or maybe has wrapped production by now, is going to be not darker, but more of a solemn tone. They're adapting Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, the comic book by Tom King. And it kind of focuses, I mean, that story is about Supergirl. She's kind of a drunk and she wants to lose her powers so that she can feel drunk again. Like she just can't. Like that's the plot of the movie. And then
did she lose Crypto? Is this the one where the dog dies? I don't know if I was reading that right. I was reading the dog dies.
I believe that is part of the plot crazy. Of this. Yes.
That would hit so hard. You have this beautiful moment with this dog in this film, and then she's like, "Thanks for taking my dog. I'm out." And then you're like, "Oh, you killed a dog off the rip," and then it's like, "This is a different tone, but it's connected."
It'll be interesting to see. I'm excited to read this. I haven't read it yet. Also, shout out Ryder. We went to LA Comic-Con like a couple years ago, and I was interested in picking this comic up. And Ryder waited in line to get the author to sign it for me. Really sweet.
I totally forgot about that. That's awesome. That's cool that you have that.
Thanks, Ryder.
Hey, so I want to talk about the expanding world because like there's the future of DC, and then I love in this film. I want to highlight the Hall of Justice and how that was being built and operated on with the Justice Gang, and they didn't even have their name right, which was, of course, a long-running joke throughout the film. But that whole potential in that future, it's cool that it's starting. You know, you have this building that, because in my head, again, I'm not familiar too much. The Hall of Justice is where the Justice League, that's their base of operation, right? They had the table there, the Hall of Justice.
I don't really know. I feel like in the animated series, they were in space. Like that was their kind of.
That's later on.
But I don't know. I don't know
because I imagine Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and they have the rest of the team, and they're all at the table, and they're like, "All right, what are we doing?" And it's like Hall of Justice. But anyways, so if that's true, that's kind of cool.
That's the Justice League satellite. That is the space one. Okay. That's not the Hall of Justice.
Gotcha.
Hall of Justice is on Earth.
Yeah.
Because like you have Peacemaker, you have the cameos, you have the ever expanding world. I like how it's expanding in the sense of well, not expanding. So I like that it's vast with the reporting, with the reporters and their channel and their news stations. Like again, it feels lived in because like I feel like in my sense of DC is very much a lot of what we hear from these heroes is from news channels, fictional news channels, and I like that there's just a lot of people. There's a lot of iconic characters that are humans as well, like reporters and people that inhabit.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the future of DC, do we want to get into like what this means? Like,
I mean, I feel like there's a lot of ways to talk about this.
There's a lot of ways to talk about
this. Number one, I think what I appreciated about Superman is it didn't feel like things were like shoved in for the purpose of cinematic universe world building. Mm-hmm. It felt like, okay, yeah, Guy Gardner, Hawkgirl, and Mr. Terrific are just like, they're here. They're here. They're not here because they need to be here to be in the next movie. Like, it doesn't feel like that at all.
It doesn't like do the first half of foreshadowing where it's like, hey, hang on to this because this will be important.
Yeah, remember
later.
this guy. Yeah, remember Guy Gardner.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I appreciated that, and I liked these characters. Mr. Fantastic was such a standout to me. What a
so good.
Are you
Mr.
kidding?
Terrific,
Oh, yeah.
not Mr. Fantastic.
Sorry, Mr. Terrific. I apologize. Mr. Terrific was incredible. Yeah.
He was fantastic. No, James, because James was saying about David Cornsweet and the future of his growth. I think I agree. I am so excited about seeing David as a person, a real actor, grow into Superman for future films and become a leader type figure, which I think like Batman's the actual leader of the Justice League. I don't know who the leader of the Justice League is, but I think it's still going to be cool to see him grow into the Justice League.
Is Superman
leadership? That's what I thought he was the leader, and
I always think about the big
Superman
three of like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman of like a
they are kind of the
equal power.
Yeah.
So just to see him grow and interact with other heroes, like it was great to see him interact with these people. So I'm like, man, him with Batman will blow my mind.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I think
they're gonna do it in a. Yeah. I don't know how they would do it in like Superman and Batman together. I imagine them more in a proper Justice League movie.
No, yeah. I just mean in general, like.
You don't want another movie titled Superman and Batman. You don't want.
I don't think I want that.
I don't want that.
I don't think I want that either.
I don't want that. The age of heroes fighting needs to end. Like. There needs to be a unanimous
unless it's the one unless it's like one of the
out.
many Justice League lines where like it's either like Apocalypse captures like all of them and then like mind wipes them, or like when they get like brainwashed and they have to fight each other. I love that shit.
Well, okay.
You're gonna like Secret Wars.
Yeah. Like Secret Wars, I love. That's the exception. That's Marvel. That's different. But so here's the only thing I'll say, because there's a long list of future projects, and I don't want to name all of them. I just have it there. But the only one I will talk about is Peacemaker, because apparently James Gunn was saying that there's gonna be a hint of the plan of DC in the next season of Peacemaker. And my theory is that it's just gonna be all the superheroes, but the bad versions of them, and that's it. Because we have 2 Peacemakers in the trailer, so.
Things get a little choppy for me here of my interest level, because like on a surface level I'm not.
No, I can hear it now.
No, I don't mean to like. I'm not trying to say criticize it. I don't
mean it like that.
I am not like really pulled to Peacemaker's character because we have the boys and we have like other things that are like those edgy like
dark comedy
hero thing. So like I'm not really like. I have not watched the first season, so I can't really like judge it, but Superman is so different than Peacemaker. The connective tissue is that it's James Gunn and they happen to be in the same universe because But we need those different tones. James Gunn. And I agree. I totally agree.
I think it makes it stronger.
But like if Peacemaker season 2, something that season 1 was years before James Gunn was hired as the head of WB, or not head of DC Studios under Warner Brothers or whatever parallel to it. If that's going to be like the start of this universe and not, I feel like Superman's the start. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I don't think it is Peacemaker, even though Peacemaker is going to have connective tissue.
No, did I sound like I was saying that? I didn't want.
No, I don't know. No. I was just kind of talking out loud. I'm yapping.
Yeah. Well, I will say when it comes to Peacemaker, it's more heart than the boys. Just
I agree.
Like, I feel like it's a little bit of a dissection of who he is as a hero, anti-hero. Like he wants to be a hero. He doesn't want to be a anti-hero.
Okay, cool.
From what I got. And it has that James Gunn heart, but it does have that boys-esque style that you're talking about. It does kind of do.
Sure.
Also, don't forget Suicide Squad was also James Gunn. No,
is that part of this? Who knows, right?
I mean, it is. Well, here's the thing: it is because Rick Flag Senior
is.
But they got this MF Rick Flag. Here. He been everywhere, right?
But Rick Flag died. It would have been the guy from. Yeah, it's his son because
even though they're like only 10 years apart, and
funny. Rick Flag was it Senior died in Suicide Squad. Was it Junior or Senior?
The Suicide Squad.
The Suicide Squad.
The Suicide Squad, which was the James Gunn one.
So Frank Grillo dies in the Suicide Squad.
No. It's the same guy from the original. So like, look, let me tell you. Let me get ready.
This is crazy to me. Because I also started Creature
Joel
Commandos.
Kinnaman.
Yeah, Joel Kinnaman.
Joel Kinnaman was Rick Flag, and he got killed by Peacemaker. He stabbed him in the heart. But his dad is Frank Grillo, senior.
Okay, got it.
And so for Creature Commandos, they mention it. Waller says, "Oh, I'm sorry about your son." So it's like,
okay, so it's all connected.
Yeah, but I don't think it's like, again, it's nothing vital.
It's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal. It's trying to.
It's just creating some sort of continuity.
Expand the world, and create continuity.
I'm a completionist, though, you guys. Like, I tell you right now, like, if for instance, Ironheart. I need to watch it. I need to get the full picture. I gotta know.
Gotta get the full picture, yeah.
I gotta finish Creature Commandos. I gotta finish like all these different things.
Creature Commandos is fun.
Are you gonna watch Doom Patrol?
You don't need Doom Patrol, right? Are you saying like in general for like
I just think in general. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
No, I'm not gonna watch it.
Yeah, I don't think you need it. I do want to say, like, in terms of things to look forward to, again, not going down this whole list, but I am very excited for the fucking Lanterns show.
Hell yeah.
My God,
they just wrapped as of recording.
They just wrapped
yesterday.
Also, wait. Speaking of just wrapped, Supergirl also is already filmed.
It's already wrapped up. It's crazy.
Already wrapped up because it comes out June 26th of next year.
Wow, I feel like we start rolling on this. That's cool.
We're really starting to roll, which like I do want to emphasize that we are ripping and rolling now.
Yeah.
End
of this year is going to be Lanterns, like,
and then
guaranteed.
and then after that we get Clayface, September 11th. We go from summer to late summer.
God.
Keep in mind, Clayface written by Mike Flanagan, the guy that has done all those
classics.
incredible Netflix horror shows like Haunting of Hill House, Midnight Mass, Haunting of Bly Manor. He's currently doing a remake of Stephen King's Carrie.
Yeah,
which would be crazy. Doctor Sleep.
Awesome.
So he's like,
Doctor Sleep apparently was really good. I didn't watch it, but I heard it was great.
Clayface is a great Batman villain, y'all.
I love Clayface.
Like, if he's in Batman, that's what's so nuts, is because this is when I think but it gets me excited because Batman could create his detective vision, his high-tech X-ray vision, which is a huge part of Batman, because of Clayface, because Clayface can turn into any person. So the detective of Robert Pattinson is like, oh my God, I don't know who to trust. I don't know. And the way he figured out.
But it's probably not going to be Robert Pattinson.
Oh, I thought this Clayface is in the Elseworlds.
Here's where it currently stands.
Oh, God, okay.
Matt Reeves producing this movie, and it was originally supposed to be in his Batman universe, which is technically considered Elseworlds. Robert Pattinson Batman not connected to this universe. But apparently that is no longer the plan. Matt Reeves is going to continue producing this movie, but Clayface will be in the current canon, the current universe thing.
Okay.
I think it would be an interesting place to introduce Batman, maybe at the end or something like that.
I think so too.
Hint or tease or some BS, and set up his Brave and the Bold.
Because Clayface doesn't have a skeleton. That's all I was gonna say. So that's how you figure out it's Clayface.
No.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's what was so fun, is that in the games you would put on detective vision for like, oh, this guy's in prison. And you would see he doesn't have a skeleton. You'd be like, "Oh, it's Clayface." That's great. It was so nuts. Like, and they didn't even know. But yeah,
I because we got lost a little bit.
Yeah.
In all these different things we're excited for.
We got lost in the
sauce. Lanterns.
Yes, Lanterns.
Follows Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan, who are played by Aaron Pierre and Kyle Chandler.
What a cast!
I know, what a fucking cast.
That's awesome.
And they're two intergalactic cops, as the Lantern Corps makes sense for Green Lanterns. They're drawn to a dark Earth-based mystery as they investigate a murder in the American heartland.
That's so cool.
Apparently, it's 8 episodes, supposed to be a similar vibe to True Detective season 1. And what a fucking, you can just throw that out there.
It's one of the best seasons of TV, of all time.
Ever. You know what I mean? You really are shooting for the stars.
Yeah. You guys,
that sort of.
My excitement is at an all-time high solely because of Aaron Pierre. He is becoming my new favorite actor. He's so good, man. Such a talent. Again, I cannot wait to see him interact with the David Cornsweet Superman. Aaron Pierre is so good.
He is going to be.
Kyle Chandler is apparently really good too.
Yeah, I mean, he's already amazing.
I love Kyle Chandler. Also, they just cannot get Kyle Chandler away from kaijus. This guy's in all these Godzilla movies. He's just all these monster movies now.
Yeah.
and Friday Night Lights. He does a lot of football, a lot of kaijus.
He's a coach, and he's a kerfuffled agent of some sort.
Yes.
Do you have any sort of date on Lanterns? Do we know anything about where that's at in the production process?
I'm saying
March. We know it's
next
wrapped.
year.
I'm sure they're editing as they go.
Knowing HBO Max, dude, it's a January-March release, like Last of Us was this year.
All right.
February release.
Wow, we're gonna be eating good.
Mm-hmm. Can I tell you what I'm most excited for?
Yeah.
In this slate so far, is this Paradise Lost show, which is on Themyscira, what Wonder Woman's planet. Or Themyscira, am I saying that correctly?
Yeah, Themyscira, yeah.
And it has been described as a Game of Thrones-esque, like, kingdom, like, thing. It sounds like high fantasy, basically. Mm-hmm. Completely disconnected from Metropolis. You know, it's its own deal. Really Makes cool. Sense. Sounds like a cool concept.
Yeah, follows the Amazons of Themyscira, tying heavily into the Wonder Woman stories of the DC universe before she was born. It's like prequel to Wonder Woman.
Ooh,
I hope it's like completely disconnected and just a cool show on its
like,
own. Right.
From the cover art of the comics, it's Amazonians fighting men. So it's probably going to be a story about how Themyscira became women dominated as a matriarchy, and like
lots of political intrigue. Like they said, it's going to be really calculated.
That sounds great.
And the politics of what is a whole country? I mean, a whole island with women. How do they interact? Who's the leader? How do
they come to be that way? Yeah,
it's crazy, guys. Awesome. You guys so cool. I'm kind of excited for this more. Whole galaxy is our playground kind of thing here.
Yeah.
Because usually I'm not as excited about that. I like my grounded superheroes. I like my Daredevil and I like my, street level guys. And I get upset about these big space things. And here I am like excited about. I don't know.
This is a wild turn. DC's on the right track if Vince is excited.
I don't want to make a direct comparison, but I think I sometimes like DC more than Marvel because they go out and they play in the stars. They're like, we're going to do we're going to full commit to interdimensional stuff and like be out in the places where it's happening. And also not undercut Earth as being important in those things. But Earth is
it all just comes down to the story. To the stories of each of these. It all just
comes down to the story, the writing.
Superman, I would say Superman Legacy and James Gunn and Peter Safran's clear vision of the future for the next 10 years. Because Peter Safran put out a post, and he said they have a clear
Peter
vision.
Safran, for people who don't know?
Yeah, they put out a clear post. I mean, a message that they have a clear plan for the next 10 years.
Who is Peter Safran?
Peter Safran is the head of, I want to say, DC Studios Entertainment, like the Warner Brothers Entertainment side. He's working with James Gunn to kind of map all this out. He's the studio side of things.
He's the he's the co-chairperson and co-CEO of DC Studios alongside James Gunn.
So my excitement for DC has been reinvigorated. And man, I think the Superman film, what a great, positive, and punk rock start. That's all I got.
Oh, it's a good finish.
I did love it. I did love it so much. It made me extremely happy. I think at the end of the day, I have my small little gripes about it, but it just doesn't pale in comparison to just the heart of this movie and the place it comes from. It's just, I think it's an important movie. It was fantastic. I really, truly loved it, even though I might have come off as a little critical on some things. I'm critical because I love it. I don't know.
Of course. Yeah. You gotta be. be. I really love this movie. I'm looking forward to more. I want to see it again.
Me too.
I just want more. I want more Superman. I want to, I think that's the biggest comment is just I want to drink in more of this world. I'm really hungry for it.
Yeah.
And I'm excited that they have enough momentum, and James Gunn and what's his name? Something Safran.
Peter Safran have sort of lined this up and put the bullets in the chamber to fire them off one after the other. I think they've done a lot of good planning. It's evident that James Gunn loves superheroes and he loves comic books, and I couldn't be more confident for where that direction is taking us. Good times, guys. I'm so glad. I'm so glad for talking about this movie. I'm so glad it was a good movie, and
I will say for everyone listening, if you haven't already hopped in our Discord, put down, let us know what comics, what animated series, and what films. Well, mainly what animated series and comics we should read and watch. Because I know there are so many series.
There's so many.
There's so many. And I feel like, some that you guys love, just let us know so we can be like, oh, okay, maybe I'll check that out on HBO Max. Luckily, they have everything on there.
Totally. Especially the comic side. If you have any recommendations, I'd love to hop in on there because I've just been loving comics these last couple years. What a cool art form that I kind of brushed off for a long time.
Yeah.
Really awesome. Cool, guys. Well, thanks so much for hanging out with us for Superman 2025. We appreciate you all.
I mean, Vincent says bye.
Vincent's got it. He's got it.
I was just carrying it, I don't know.
Yeah,
I was just carrying
you were
it to
good.
the end zone.
Carry it, man.
All right, love you guys. See you on the next one. Peace out.
Peace out.